You're embarrassing yourself, your party, and your country. You should not be doing this. You're a better person than this. I'm ashamed for you.
Number 10, Jennifer Livingston versus anonymous fat shamer. Our first story is a fairly serious one, but certainly a headline that you'll never forget. It's also quite unique in that this entry has a very cold confrontational moment, and yet there is only one person involved.
I want to take a moment to address a situation that has become a talking point in this community over the past weekend, especially on Facebook, that centers around me.
After receiving an email from an anonymous source that criticized her weight, WKBT news anchor Jennifer Livingston turned the situation on its head. Livingston, who has a medical condition that affects her weight, used her platform and confronted not just the emailer, but any would-be body shamer out there.
You don't know me. You are not a friend of mine. You are not a part of my family, and you have admitted that you don't watch this show. So you know nothing about me but what you see on the outside. And I am much more than a number on a scale.
Unanimously and deservedly praised for her candor, Livingston proved how to stand up for yourself in a dignified way.
What got to me is that he said in his email, I am a bad role model for this community, for young girls, and I have 3 young girls. And that is where I feel like he crossed the line.
Number 9, Jamie Simpson versus Bachelorette viewers. Also in the news list is this now infamous moment, which is not only intense, but probably saves some lives in the process.
That's why this is a dangerous situation tonight. It's dark, it's also rainy.
Still, this emergency update was apparently a huge inconvenience to the Bachelorette fans wanting to see what Hannah Brown had to say. And they were none too happy to have weatherman Jamie Simpson interrupt the broadcast to, warn of an impending tornado. Another moment in which an on-screen personality is confronting someone through the camera, Simpson was having none of the social media backlash from the Bachelorette faithful.
I was just checking social media. We have viewers complaining already. Just go back to the show. No, we're not going back to the show, folks. This is a dangerous situation.
His outburst angrily reminded them that their personal safety was way more important. Several hours after a tornado touched down, lead star Hannah Brown took to Twitter to back Simpson up.
It just really bothers me that we have people that don't care about other people's safety around here. That's just ridiculous.
Number 8, Matt Laubhan versus John Dolusic. In other news-related moments of this list, we have a confrontation between co-workers that would have been hilarious to watch live, provided you weren't too busy darting to the nearest storm shelter, of course.
John, I need you off the phone. I need you to check radar, and I need you to look at this tornado warning up here.
What is it about weathermen and their hot tempers? Then again, it's tough staying cool on live TV. In a clip that made its way to Jimmy Kimmel Live, weatherman Matt Laubhan can be seen berating news anchor John Dolusic for not paying attention to the impending weather warning.
John, we do now have reports.
The atmosphere was more tense in the studio, but Laubhan gets a pass for his impassioned stance. The last time he was delivering a tornado warning, he had to evacuate the studio.
You know what happened, John? In the 5 minutes we didn't have radar data, it produced a tornado.
Number 7, Chad Myers versus Carol Costello. In some related news, this particular entry involves a confrontational moment between weatherman and anchor. On the morning of August 30th, meteorologist Chad Myers was giving his daily update on the path of Hurricane Katrina. Before he could get into it, Carol Costello cut in and asked him, albeit somewhat rudely, to call it as plainly as he could. In her defense, when dealing with such a serious issue, perhaps Myers could have simplified things a little. Instead, he blew up, sharply demanding that Carol let him talk.
That is lower pressure, but Camille... Let me talk, Carol.
Translate that for us. I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, if you would let me talk...
Ouch, Chad. Luckily, it was very early in the morning, so fewer people saw his rage, and besides, he was just joking, apparently.
Thank you, Chad.
All right, just having fun with you this morning.
I know.
Number 6, Courtney Brennan versus Newell resident. And in other news, sometimes confrontation can be a cool reminder that journalists aren't to be taken for granted. Particularly in the local news programming, where the press aren't as protected, tensions can quickly rise.
They're really having a difficult time getting people to come forward, and we encountered that very thing when we went to the town today.
Such was the case in November 2012, when Pittsburgh's WPXI TV News sent field journalist Courtney Brennan to Newell in order to report on a finding of explosives in a residential area.
No matter how many times I asked, this man would not step aside.
Whilst setting up, herself and her crew were approached by a local resident and berated. We're giving credit where it is due. Brennan did not give an inch or back down, despite the aggressive behavior she unexpectedly faced.
Sir, this is not, you do not own this street. I'm sorry you're upset, but we are allowed to be here.
We're nothing but blood-sucking vultures.
Number 5, Kate Baldwin versus Carl Higbie. This news event was a long time coming. In 2016, CNN news personality Kate Baldwin was given a show initially to report on the presidential election. To ensure that the show had no bias towards any political leanings, guests from the left were just as welcome as guests from the right, with Baldwin mediating.
Two former officials, tell you what, come out, name those people, then we'll have something to talk about.
During a discussion into the White House allegedly sharing information with Russia, former Navy SEAL and Donald Trump supporter Carl Higbie started questioning the legitimacy of anonymous sources if they won't state their names.
Who are the sources? Oh, because they're hiding behind this anonymity.
Oh,
and that's what we're seeing.
Please, do not even start with me that you're just going to attack sources.
Higbie began shouting about how anonymous sources should be named. The onslaught of Higbie's naive statement didn't end, and other guests soon took him to task. We get the feeling they'd had this conversation before.
They stand behind this story, come out, face the camera.
Can I just say something?
All they've been doing is facing the camera, Carl.
Number 4, Brooke Baldwin with Keith Reed versus Clay Travis. In breaking news, former CNN host Brooke Baldwin gave viewers the ultimate confrontation during a three-way conversation in September 2017.
I'm a First Amendment absolutist. I believe in only two things completely, the First Amendment and boobs. And so once they made the decision that they were not going to allow a conservative, non-sports-related commentary, they couldn't do it either.
Ironically, this moment came about during a longer and heated debate over the practice of free speech, as Jemele Hill's tweets had gotten her into hot water with the White House and ESPN.
I believe completely in the First Amendment and in boobs. Those are the only two things I believe 100% in this country.
Still, Clay Travis's remarks that he believes in only the First Amendment and boobs did little but annoy Baldwin, who was trying to promote more women with her platform. After clarifying that he didn't say booze, Baldwin finally pulled the rug out from under Travis's feet and cut him off.
I'm done. I'm sorry.
To have her anatomy brought up, to have anyone's anatomy brought up in this conversation?
I'm done. This is done. This is conversation over. Yanking mics. Bye. See ya.
And that's good night for him. Number 3, Weijia Jiang versus Donald J. Trump. News from the White House now. When you think of great rivalries, you can have Frazier versus Ali, The Rock versus Austin, David versus Goliath, but the most intriguing heavyweight bouts of recent times is Trump versus Jang. Since 2018, reporter Weijia Jiang has been the White House correspondent for CBS News, and for some reason, then-President Donald Trump took an instant dislike to her.
Keep your voice down, please. Keep your voice down.
He's told her to keep her voice down, referred to her questions as nasty, and accused her of fabricating a gotcha moment, all on separate occasions.
Said a gotcha. I gotcha.
No, it's not a gotcha.
But nothing compares to the press conference in which he told Jang, who is of Chinese origin, to ask China about coronavirus responses.
The U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
When challenged, he backtracked.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty question.
Please go ahead.
And when challenged again, he abruptly walked off stage. Running away? You decide. Number 2, Jim Ryan versus Dick Oliver. In local news, rooms, tensions can be very high. With small teams, the intimacy of the office can lead to strong relationships or butting heads. It's a testament to one's professionalism to keep the behind-the-scenes animosity away from the public eye.
Don't let her go away. That's what. Does she have a response to that? Is she still there?
But it's much funnier when fights happen on camera. Just ask Jerry Springer. Anchor Jim Ryan got into it with reporter Dick Oliver when the latter seemed to let the news story go. Oliver's response was to immediately move on to the offensive, reminding Ryan that he used to be the boss.
No, I'll give you lessons on how to become a reporter later.
No, I'll give you some lessons on how to be an editor, because I was your boss once.
Yeah, you were, and are no longer. How did that happen?
The moment was long considered to be the inspiration behind the Herb Welch character on Saturday Night Live. Though the SNL team deny that, it's hard to ignore the similarities.
No, Herb, stay on topic, Herb. Okay? What? Stay on topic. You know, ask your source if anyone's been injured or something like that.
Don't direct me, you Tyrack.
Number 1, Jim Acosta versus Donald J. Trump. And finally, our top story is an event that started in the news and then made the news before ending up in the courtroom. Weijia Jiang may have been one of Donald Trump's least favorite correspondents, but CNN's Jim Acosta could be the ex-president's nemesis.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
During a White House press conference in which he challenged Trump over his invasion of migrants from South America remarks, Acosta gently blocked the intern attempting to take the microphone.
I think you should let me run the country, you run CNN,
all right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Trump accused Acosta of physically shoving her and had Acosta's press pass revoked. Judges expressed this as a contravention of the Fifth Amendment. The case was settled when Acosta was reinstated. Say what you like about the 45th president, but he did provide some confrontational moments on the news.
Just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.